colleagues who are transmitting live, and then we will start. So please bear with us. Guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to our press briefing this morning. As I say, our briefings now focus on the COVID-19 response program of the Republic of Ghana. About 2 nights ago, His Excellency the President addressed the nation as part of that program and outlined a number of measures that he's adding already existent ones as part of our response program. This morning, what we'll do is to give you some details of how those measures are being executed, in addition to some more information on a few other matters. Additionally as well, there are a number of private organizations and groups that want to support the national cause. They are here to also support, and we would give them an opportunity to outline what they have for us. But as we start, let me acknowledge the presence of the Senior Minister of the Republic, the Honorable Yaw Osafo Maafo. Thank you very much for being with us this morning, sir. We are also happy to have with us this morning the Minister responsible for Health, the Honorable Kweku Agyeman-Manu. Thank you for being with us this morning, sir. The Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, the Honorable Cecilia Dapaah is here with us. Thank you very much, Madam, for being with us. Shortly, we'll be joined by the Minister for Social Protection and Gender, the Honorable Cynthia Morrison, who will give us an update on how we are executing the President's instruction to provide food, at least for some 400,000 people at this point in time. Today's brief, as I mentioned, a number of parts. First, I'll briefly outline what the COVID-19 response program of the Republic of Ghana is, so that we understand the 5 different parts of this program and why very often you find us bringing different people here to update on the various parts of it. And then we'll take the briefs, first by the Minister responsible for Health, second by the Minister responsible for Sanitation and Water Resources, and then third by the Minister responsible for Social Protection and Gender. I will provide a quick update on financial matters. There are 3 planks of financing we are looking at. First is the preparedness program of about 100 million. Second is the coronavirus alleviation program, about $219 million CD equivalent. And then third is the actual stimulus package, which will hopefully reignite the economy. That I'll provide some more detail on. But to start off, maybe I'll get a couple of the donations out of the way, and then we'll get into some of the details. His Excellency the President has caused to be set up by an Act of Parliament a COVID-19 relief fund, which is aimed at supporting persons who've been negatively affected by this virus and the interventions that government is rolling out. A number of organizations have joined us with donations in times past. We have a number. This morning, I want to quickly deal with two, then we'll get into our briefs and I'll deal with two. MMDCs in the Eastern region are here with us. They want to make a contribution to that in their personal capacities. Wilma Africa Limited is also here with us. They have a contribution of about 1 million cedis in various parts. So perhaps I'll start with MMDCs in the Eastern region. I do understand that the Honorable Richmond Amponsa, that would be DC for Achase, is leading that team. Please join us and let's take yours quickly. Wilma Africa, please be on standby. I will come to you shortly and then we'll get into our briefs.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Good morning, Honorable Ministers and media present. On behalf of MMDC's Eastern region, as Honorable Minister rightly said, a fund that His Excellency Nana set, and he set a good example as a leader, committing his 3 months salary to start as a seed capital. We, MMDC's Eastern region, together with our regional minister and others, we are coming up this morning to present a check of 100,000 to support this fund. We believe this one will go a long way to help us. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd ask you to hold on for me. I want to invite Wilma Africa. So please hold on for me. Let me invite Wilma Africa to quickly tell us yours as well. Then I would crave the indulgence of the Honorable Senior Minister who is here to receive these two contributions for us. Social distancing, please.
Okay, Honorable Ministers present, all protocols observed. I stand here representing Wilma Africa Limited, the manufacturers of your favorite Frytol brand and also importers of Fortune Rice and recently branched into the production of soap. First of all, we want to appreciate government under the leadership of His Excellency, the President, for the inspired leadership he has brought on efforts to contain this pandemic that has plagued the world and that has also found its place in our country. We believe the inspired leadership has galvanized the country and all efforts are now on deck. Everybody, all stakeholders are now involved in trying to deal with this situation. We commend our healthcare professionals, we commend the Minister of Education, all the stakeholders who are playing the active part in ensuring that we bring life to mercy for life to continue. As a company that has woven itself into the fabric of this society, we felt we can also stand idle by. And so we are here to offer our widow's mite towards dealing with this pandemic. We have a total package of 1 million Ghana cedis, a cash donation of 100,000 Ghana cedi to go directly into the COVID fund the government has set up. And then we also have, because we do in food, and we reckon that there are vulnerable members in our society who have been impacted and which the government is making effort to support, we are making in total food items made up of rice, made up of oil, made up of soup, a value of 900,000 cedis. And so we will want to make this donation to government. We will want to work with relevant government agencies that are directly involved in the distribution and make these products available so that we can reach out to vulnerable members of our society so they can sustain themselves until this pandemic is over. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Wilma Africa. So MMDCs from the Eastern region, please step forward first. The Honorable Senior Minister will join us and will receive your donation. If you can please make way for him as he comes up the stair. And then after that, he will receive that for Wilma and then make some comments for us. You can shake hands.
Yes.
You try. So yes, that's a check from MMDCs from the Eastern region of the Republic. So we are very grateful you for your contribution. Many thanks. Thank you, sir. So many thanks. Well, Marika, please step forward with yours. Check. Well, Marika, thank you. Thank you so much. We'll put it up. Honorable Senior Minister, a few comments.
Colleague Minister for Health, Ministers, Honorable Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, it is with great pleasure that I receive on behalf of government and for the account of COVID-19 a check of 100,000 cedis from the Eastern Region MMDCs and related officials. We are most grateful for this kind of gesture from administrators of the government. It's taking direct example from the president's own gesture. We would say big thank you to the MDCs of the Eastern Region and the regional minister and all those who have contributed to this handsome amount of 100,000 cedis. To the Wilma Africa Limited, their donation of the gifts is quite interesting. A cash donation of 100,000 and assorted food items. One of the challenges of us in the lockdown is feeding those who are very vulnerable. It is a big challenge, and as the government just said, we intend to feed about 400,000 minimum people in the lockdown areas. And therefore, gifts of this type is very useful, and will continue to appeal to others to emulate the example of Wilma. Thank you very much for this kind gesture, and thank you for all those who have seen the need to come and support the government and, by extension, the COVID-19 Trust Fund to cater for those who have been disadvantaged by COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Senior Minister. We are most grateful that you have received these ones for us. There are a few more donations, and I'll bring them in as and we go along. But very quickly, let me start off by outlining the broad response program of government. Before that, for the benefit of our colleagues who are all transmitting in Chi, anopeye fi ase no enyuma ku ahodo mienu ane ku ahodo mienu abekan ho abeboa de aban ne omampani eye edikan eye aban nkrachefo ewo epoye mantem Eastern Regional MMDCs omo de omo ankasa mbotom sika 100,000 Ghana cedis tete sika no be 1 billion edi ababe boa adwuma omampani ne abo eye no yebo omabaso Senior Minister Agye Aman ansana Wilma Africa Ghana Limited omo ne produce fried tol ne emo ahodo ne nkeka ho omo so omo de sika 100,000 Ghana cedis tete sika no 1 billion ababe cheraban se omo de to foto nim na ya adwuma eye no ansana omo de nuane ahodo 900,000 Ghana cedis tete sika no be 9 billion nti oka bomu a 1 million Ghana cedis, sikafu from 1 million cedis, and Omodi Abani, na Senior Minister, a dear Bayanim Amayaso, Sabri, Yadeka, near Yade, Juma Ahodo, Nina, Yeda Omase. Ibimuso, ADB is here, CCT group is here, we'll deal with those ones very shortly. But first, let me outline the broad strokes of the government response program. The COVID-19 pandemic, as it hit Ghana, or even before it hit Ghana, caused the government of Ghana to come up with a response program which is in 5 parts. The first part of the program is to limit and stop the importation of cases into Ghana. And that is a security operation led principally by the Ghana Immigration Service. And so you saw us issue travel advisories initially and then close the borders subsequently, mandatorily quarantine persons who were coming in with the view of limiting and stopping the importation of cases. The second part of the strategy is got to deal with detection, containment of cases, and slow down potential community spread. That is a health and security operation led jointly by the National Security Secretariat that has been coordinating what some will call the lockdown or what we call the imposition of restrictions. The other part of it that deals with the enhanced tracing and testing program. And these two come together to help us detect, contain, and slow down community spread. The third part of the program is the care for the sick. But for those who have been identified as positive cases, how do we have a unique case management approach that ensures that A, we are able to give them adequate health care, B, we don't overcrowd our health facilities, C, we have enough logistics out there for healthcare persons and even for persons that may require intensive care. It's a health operation that is led by the minister responsible for health, working through the Ghana Health Service and then the teaching hospitals. And they've been administering that and giving us an update every time they join us. There's also a part of the strategy that deals with minimizing the impact on social and economic life. Minimizing the impact on social and economic life. It's a combination of finance-related measures led by the economic management team, supported by the minister responsible for finance, to ensure that monies that are required to help us limit impact on the social lives of people and on the broader economy are made available. And then also supported by the minister responsible for social protection and gender, who is also ensuring that some 4,000 persons across the Greater Accra, Kumasi areas are supported even at this time when there are restrictions. The final part of the strategy, the part 5, is about boosting domestic capacity self-reliance at this point in time, using it as an opportunity to boost domestic capacity and self-reliance so that the things required for this fight that we can locally produce, we produce them locally. And you've heard the President speak about PPEs and sanitizers, etc., that can produce locally. Broadly, this is the framework of the government response program to COVID-19. I want to jump and go to the health matters first. The minister responsible for health is here with us. He will give us a quick latest update of where we are as at now. We've been providing with us from 11 p.m. the first night when 2 cases were recorded till now, and we hope to do so until we're able to bring down our curve. Minister Agyeman-Manu, please join us with a health update. What is the breakdown of our status currently? There are also questions about some details of the President's support for health workers, and we ask you to take advantage to also speak to us. Please join us.
Thank you, Senior Minister, colleague Minister for Sanitation, Ghana Health Service Directors, media, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to be brief. As at 6 April, that is yesterday, 23:30 hours, a total of 287 cases with 5 deaths have been recorded. Regional distribution of the cases are as follows. Greater Accra. This region has the most cases, 258, followed by Ashanti, 18, Northern Region, 10, Upper West, 1, Eastern Region, 1, and Upper East Region, 1. A total of 172 cases were reported from the routine and enhanced surveillance activities and those from travelers under mandatory quarantine in both Accra and Tamale are 115. 115. That is Accra and Tamale. Accra is 105 and Tamale is 10. The period of mandatory quarantine for travelers who arrived on the 20th and 22nd March has ended. In all, a total of 1,080 travelers were quarantined during the period. Out of these, 79 were positive during the initial testing, whilst 951 were negative. 26 among those that were initially negative were found to have converted to be positive at the exit screening, bringing a total of 105, which constitutes 10.2% among the travelers that were quarantined. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is all I can say now on the trend of the disease. When I get opportunity, I'll continue to remind ourselves of the protocols of social distancing. Maintain a distance of 2 meters between yourselves and anyone coughing or sneezing. Wash hands frequently with soap and running water. Avoid unprotected contact with farm or wild animals. This is very critical, because since we started, all we are talking about is handshaking and social distancing. We don't hear people talking about our contact with wild animals. Don't let's make unprotected contacts with farm or wild animals. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with your elbow or disposable tissue. Throw away the tissue and wash hands right away with soap and water. Avoid touching your mouth, nose, and eyes to the spread of infection. Thank you very much. Let me now move on to some of the mitigating measures the President announced for health workers. We have made available 15 Ayalolo buses now in Accra, and a number again in Kumasi. This operation started yesterday. The buses that were designated to carry health workers have been labeled health staff in front of the windscreens and on the sides. These are strictly to be utilized by health workers. They have done routes that will touch in some of the hospitals and polyclinics in Accra from various parts of Accra. So the 15 buses between Accra and Tema are operating on our major roads, but they have asked them to be going close to clinics where these workers are to facilitate their movement. They are moving during times that they start work, that will give them room to start work, when they close, and when the afternoon shift comes. So that when you close even in the night, there will be buses running to carry you home. We've given ample fuel, and it looks like the operation went very well yesterday. This morning there were complaints of health workers, a lot of them trying to go on a bus that would break the social distancing rules. So I'll plead with health workers who are boarding the buses that if you realize that there are a lot more people in the bus and the driver asks you to stay and wait, please listen and wait and get on the next bus that comes. The President mentioned tax relief for all health workers, and we are working on modalities to grant this tax to all health workers, including those even in the private sector, so that if you capture you, an employer in the private sector gives us your tax returns, they pick your TIN numbers and will work with it so that you'll also benefit so far as your health well. The other area that we have mentioned, which has caused a little bit of misunderstanding on radio, this morning I listened to one or two contributors, is the allowance or bonus that will be paid to the health workers. Please let everybody stay calm. The president is not thinking of leaving anyone behind. All of us are health workers. All of us are health workers. But not all of us will do some work that will make us take advantage of the large bonus. As I stand here, the health workers yourself and our associations know that a number of us are on steady leave. A number of us, over 3,000 nurses and midwives, are on steady leave, approved officially. So prior to COVID-19, they were not going to work. As of now, they have not been deployed, so they are staying at home. Nurses who are in school have closed and they have gone holidays, sort of. Some are in the lockdown areas. We have sent message to them that all of you should stand by. Should we experience an upsurge and the numbers are running out, we will deploy the second group. So some of us are sitting at home. Notwithstanding this, there are two types of nurses in schools in Korle Bu: the critical care nurses, School of Operatives, and the School for Critical Care. Even their final year students and those in national service have already been recalled, and they are sitting in Korle Bu to be deployed to the emergency centers. And some of them have been deployed to Ga East. They are helping some of the solution centers in Accra now. These are people the president is thinking about. All of us will get a tax exemption. But honestly, if you compare those who are standing by in the school waiting to be deployed to Ga East, to University of Ghana Medical Center, and those of us who are sitting at home now, I wouldn't make a conclusion. All nurses who are doing what we call rotation, like national service, have been asked by their facilities to go home until there's the need to call them back. If after 2 months, these rotation nurses have not been called back, we haven't made a conclusion yet. We are still looking at modalities. Even in the civil service, the instruction from Public Services Commission and the head of services that directors and staff who are not providing essential services in the ministries should be asked to go home so that we can create space for social distancing. And even in health, quite a number of our directors have been asked to stay away. If the president wants to appreciate those who fought the battle, those who are not providing essential services for 2 months, what happens to them? So let us address this issue very passionately, and let us look at what we are doing as health workers to support the nation. Let me move to logistics. The president is making all efforts to resource the ministry to ensure that we have adequate numbers of protective equipment. In his speech, he mentioned about taking opportunity of the crisis we are in to build local capacity to do some of these things at home. As I speak, the Minister for Trade has selected 5 big companies to sell 3.6 million face masks, these nose masks. They will start delivery by tomorrow. We'll take delivery of 150,000 each day, and within the next 7 days or so, the whole country will be flooded with these masks, especially for health workers. So it's the peribrals, those who are still complaining. We did not have adequate numbers from the beginning, but from the next few days, we will have ample for all health workers to be protected. This in case management and critical care areas. Some quantities are there that we are providing, but we cannot flood the whole country all of a sudden with all these equipment. So gradually, as we move forward, some of these funds will come to everybody. I will appeal to all health workers that we should all exercise some little bit restraint and continue to support the president and his fight for COVID-2019 to avoid the spreading the disease to ourselves. We are working so hard that we don't get into situations where some other countries are. There is hope, and I believe if we continue to work the way we have worked over the last few weeks, this thing will be over. Like the president said, it will come to pass. Let me thank you so much for your time. I thank you.
Honorable, you're at the podium. You have to sanitize your hands. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, so that's the quick health update. I want to just provide some little nuance to it as we go along. The case count, as has gone up, has two significant things in it, for which reason it has gone up. The minister mentioned one. I want to repeat for emphasis. The decision was to mandatorily quarantine the about 1,030 persons who were coming in within that 48-hour period before the closure of our borders. Now, the first tests proved that about 79 of them were positive. But the experts advised that it was still important to ensure that the remaining are kept in mandatory quarantine for a 14-day period and tested a second time, because it is possible that somebody may have been exposed early and wasn't manifesting exposure in the samples that were taken. And for that reason, they were kept in mandatory quarantine. And when the second test were done, 26 of them now turned positive. So a good chunk of our case count increase, as you have noticed from the data, is coming from the second group of persons who tested positive during the second test. The other part of it is the enhanced tracing exercise that has started. As the president mentioned on Sunday night, as at that time, about 19,000 persons had been traced. Samples had been taken from about 15,000. And he mentioned that his decision by the end of this week will be heavily informed by the results of that 15,000. Now, please pay attention to this. So far, over 15,000 that have had their samples taken. Out of that, the brief I have this morning is that 7,461 have been tested as at now. And out of that, 14, that is 0.18%, have tested positive. Let me take that again. Out of the 15,000 samples that are being processed, 7,461 have been run so far, been tested so far. 14, that's 0.18%, have tested positive. Now, these are some of the reasons for which you are seeing the case count go up. And that's why we continue to encourage people that do not get alarmed when you see the raw case count numbers go up. It is because we are aggressively going out there now in search of the virus. We will find these numbers. The more numbers we find, the better we are disposed for the Ghana Health Service to provide them with care for the sick, which is pillar number 5, or which is pillar number 4, or is it 3 rather? Pillar number 3, care for the sick, pillar number 3 on our strategy. So to explain the numbers that have gone up, please don't be, it is because we are aggressively testing. We have to do a second test for those in mandatory quarantine. And then the enhanced surveillance that has started is what is bringing numbers up. So just so that we are guided accordingly. The Honorable Senior Minister informs me that he would have to leave to chair another meeting. So if you see him taking leave of us, please understand. We will receive some more of the donations. Other ministers are here and receive them for us. The Honorable Minister for Health has also given us the other parts of the health brief. I want to very quickly move to another item after I have done a quick translation into Twi, and that's to do water matters. The President gives some instructions on how water should be handled. The Minister responsible for Sanitation and Water Resources will explain that to us shortly. Sani Amidi Kainchino, Abai Okwaye Kono Yachemu Enum. Edi kan say ye pese ye bɔ Ghana ho ban na yare ni bi amfi baabi a man bi wura Ghana. Eno ye dwuma ye bambo for titiri immigration for na AD ani man na ye. Eno ne ma ye issue travel advisory say mankofo bi mba Ghana do be ya to ye borders mu. Our man penny asan 2 more weeks. Asa no mo ye ba no crampo ye sign e ma o mutena dem ma ya test. Etoso mienu Ghana Health Service any bambo for ye dwuma hwese baabi ya bi wo bia no ye behu na so no yahwe say yare nti atese ensikrom eno ye detection, containment and slowing down community spread. And also oma ye ho adwuma ye boru etoso miensa ye wono mo ebehu so omo wo bi no kwa be na be fa hwe care for the sick. And Ghana Health Service omo ye adwuma Ministry of Health ase omo no omo hwe aye eho adwuma minister babo ho de ru kakra ansa na senia ekwatia yare ni nsunsuanso wo ye sika sem ne abrabɔ titiri no mo eni bi ededa abonten no so no ye be hu senia ye be hwɛ no ɛno gender minister ne finance minister ehwɛ die nim die twato ye kwan a yankase betumi aboa ye ho na niema ye ye wa ha yie ye betumi de ahwɛ ye ho no yetumi ahwɛ ede ahwɛ ye ho domestic capacity and self reliance and also trade minister ne EMT ehwɛ ede anim then ona ya bode ro kakra bebia sabre ya yigine cases a ye wo ababedu ye beka no e wo twi mu sesia ma obi aso ate ase ba radio mpesa me Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. Please join us an update on the water situation after the podium is sanitized.
Thank you very much, Kojo, for the invitation. I'm here to let us all know the full report of the instructions in the broadcast. During the 5th broadcast of His Excellency the President to the nation on COVID-19, he reiterated that Ghana Water Company Limited should ensure the stable supply of water during this period that we are fighting this deadly disease. And he went on that there will be no disconnection of supply. Furthermore, government will absorb the water bills for all Ghanaians for the next 3 months, i.e. April, May, and June. Added to that, water tankers, both public ones and privately owned ones, are also going to be mobilized to ensure the water supply to all vulnerable communities. I must state here that this also includes the Ghana Water Sanitation Agency. All their systems also will provide water for free. Again, all community-based water systems are to serve water to the community residents for free. All water bills for the above months for all domestic customers and standpipe users will be absorbed by government. I'm stressing this so that there will be no confusion. Also, hospitals, clinics, and other health centers will enjoy priority supply of water as they have been doing. If there's anything, they will call Ghana Water Company to quickly mobilize tanker services to serve. We are also going to install polytanks in urban areas as well as, if necessary, the rural areas to make sure water is easily accessible. There are areas that have pipelines but suffering from lack of water. These areas are being listed for tanker services to serve them. And these tanker services are being deployed nationwide to supply water. Meanwhile, we plead with all of us to make sure that we do not tamper with the pipelines and infrastructure of both Ghana Water Company Limited and Community Water and Sanitation Agency, so that we will have constant supply of water. All leakages should be reported to the nearest Ghana Water Company Limited offices promptly. Attention. If you also notice any burst of pipelines, please report promptly as well. We are all encouraged to use water judiciously. Mechanisms are being put in place as we enjoy from the benevolence of our leader to monitor the irresponsible use of water. There's some WhatsApp going on whereby you have a grown-up man lying in a bowl with tap running. And this is a bad example. I think we should avoid all such expensive jokes and make sure we do the right thing by following the full protocol of WHO. This water is being free because the president knows the importance of water in these critical times. We need water to wash our hands, to cook our food, and also to wash our bodies, and to make sure we practice full personal hygiene. Ghana Company Limited Ghana Water Company Limited will be sending SMS messages with bills, but there will be at the bottom a message that this is for you to check how much water you are using and how much water they are supplying to you. The message also contains a message that government is fully paying for this bill. So it's just for your information. So all bills, SMS texts will come with such messages to re-emphasize the fact that government is taking care of the water bills for April, May, June. And all issues connected with water supply should call the call center. We've put out all the numbers and will continue to put out the numbers as time goes on. There are several numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6, but I'll give 3 and the rest will be posted later. 0, 5, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 3, 9, 3. 0, 5, 5, 5, 1, 5, 5, 5, 2, 4. And 0, 2, 0, 7, 3, 8, 5, 0, 8, 7. Other operationalization issues will be giving out as time goes on. Thank you. Me pamucho se minister bema me kwan kakra. Pese meka e wo twi mu kakra. De mbeka ye ne nyina ne se aban adwene ye ho ama president ahyehye se yensua yebu o yefie na ye de ye ho adwuma se ye woro ye nsa ye dware ye de bi no aduane adi na ye nom no ne nyina ho ka Ghana nyina enye lockdown areas no nko a Ghana nyina obia so wo stand pipe e na wote ho agigi sa jai sika ne je aban se eye free ye wo systems e wo ye rural areas and urban areas no aye community water and sanitation agency dia eno ukobu nsu a eye free na nko om gigi bibi kakra om de maintenance eno nso mo obia sika ye wo NGOs so om asisi semsa om so de ma Ghana for ya sre om ye data so besa akope so ama wo se om nso nsuo no om ma no free na sa amre Ghana for hen ha om aban da ye nyina ase ahohiahia ibaye mo modern bo ene ositie ene nkambo mu a ye de ko sa kwi ye nkoso sada menso me office wo ho obia wo issue bi no anya Ghana water kra me wo ho community water so sanitation agency omo so de omo numbers ebetwa medamase na nyame mo ye nyina ho ban.
Minister, thank you for that update. There are a few questions or a few issues we need to clarify. I think even up until this point, then I'll take the ADB donation before we come to the budget and finance matters as I spoke about earlier. So for those who have arrears in water bills, what does it mean for them? There's been a lot of stories going around about the fact that if you have arrears, you won't enjoy. Is that true? The position. I'll come to Honorable Minister to respond to that for me later. And then, for example, bills have a 1-month lag. So the fact that we are having April, May, June, does it mean that March bills will not be distributed to us, or what? When we see a March bill, what should we think? I think those are matters we have to clarify. And then, Minister for Health, I think the key interpretation, especially of the benefit to health workers, is something we need to clear up so that we are quite clear on that one. And then also, in terms of the regional breakdown of the cases that you gave us, if we use regional breakdown, it will come up to, I think, 289. Am I correct? Can we see the numbers? If we use a regional breakdown, it will come up to 289, but your case count tells us 287. We'll need you to clarify that for us before we wrap up. And then I have questions on these briefs that we've had so far, so that the Minister's can take leave of us while we go to the others. So, Honorable Minister for Health, 287 or 289, and then also for the health workers, if you can explain that in Chi for us.
Thank you, Kwajo. I've just cross-checked on the regional distribution. The Greater Accra region is actually 256, not 258, as I read or announced earlier. The Greater Accra region has most cases of 256, 256, not 258, as I read earlier. I would say for Mr. Moa, health workers, measures na mampanyini tu biano. Wepe se mechi mu akutri mu kakra. Ne di kane no edi numbers MCBA 12 esikwanswa besube adwuma. Ye di bibia tare ho say health staff poye apomdine asweye adwuma. Ghana service private for no nyina aka ho. So ye adwuma o private hospital. Maternity home. Baby a adwuma bia on shende se mpona kita ID card o kire se we health staff ese se ye maafro baase no bi. Enra eko kama ye di biso ato temakrom nyina. Ya pekwa na ebemben hospitals no a chire ayalolofo no baby a ye polyclinics no ne hospital no wo. Enti route no bi kra ho a eko gina hospital no pe emani pasi. Time nia yede no so ye ne regional director no of Ghana Health Service aye route no de ama ayalolofo no fe time nia nurses no ne doctors de kwa adwuma be normal shift ne buses no run ne se be ya obenipa na afa be kwanso enre ko yi kama kakra anopa ntia manya ne se buses no bi ho a social distance no nti yempese nipa bebre be fro enso nurses no ebi no mefro aboso bebre mestre mo a buses no do so kakra se eba se dia ye de asizi so no e ma mu gina ho chere na sebe e waste time a ye behwe nia e betumi de abeka ho a eboa enti ma ye mpre ho ye nyina ye nkobo mpreko enje bus no social distance no so ehia ye pa ye mampanyini kan biem no ye tax relief no se tro abane tete ye nyina ye katua so kakra kakra no health workers no die abane etwamu kakra kosi se coronavirus no asem no ebekofom nti ono ye nyina health workers no nyina ye adwuma private clinics no se nyamo capture mo nyina mo benya no free as well obia wo tinna ye ne tax nti hospital ho de tax returns no ye be capture na yɛayɛ ho adwuma ma nso woanya free tax no nyama mpanyin de to yɛ ne mbie me yɛ bo kakra yɛbitua ama frontline workers say no ama ayi kakra aba anopa radio smith associations no bi no mpanimfo enya entiase mese mo a mampanyin dwene health workers no nyina ho a na dwene ne sesebe yenko nja echi nti ye de sa word no bam frontline ama entiase kakra bi asate unity a enye kese yi papa nya mampanyin adwuma na dwene se obeyi bi afrim na sebe no kro bi so ho esese yeka sesi amenum weka sei ye health workers no bi no ma badge study leave a corona no mbae no nka be wo school corona mbae no ba makwane enso beni ba bi a be ye adwuma be wo fie ti se ko ba se ye mabonus bi a sa nipa no ye ne be ebeka ye nya nsi po ye ne ayi adwumafo no mpanimfo ehia ewia these modalities be babontre ye nyina ye dwene how to support each other frontline mampanyin kan no obi aka ho ne ntia meka se obi aka ho no okọ chip compounder yare no bi betima pie akurabse chip compound staff no horo ne be start de ano aba soro ansana obedu treatment center nti ono so be ye exposed nti uyi sa nipa no firima enyi ye bu nkonta a checki niema beto protection edi ama health workers no treat center cleaners e wo hokra ye frebe support staff ye de na e ka ho nti doctor gina ho o ye adwuma cleaner ho o proper obi o ho a o support obi ti wheelchair ma obi piano ba uyi ne firima enye yie enti ye ka se obi aka ho bi yese cases bi o ho a se bi obi anim se we nom group we de se bia ba ma adwuma saa ne ye pese ye kire ba ye nimfo e kasa ye conclude a ye de be ba betu bia sesi ye kasa yi ade no ba first ye nyina ye ho so enti no we were looking for more helpers say ko ba se ye de na ye kakra te say krobinom so de na ye be nurses no ne doctors na ye adwuma ma ye doctor say one day said say beka say wa wadwuma nhia se pa ko trafie no say yes civil service na adwuma bibre directors no ko sa nurses abe ye national service they can rotation nurses by passing so here we binuma be financial clearance be nyina betifie ba ne be wo adwuma bu ma hospitals abe ye adwuma nyina ba ma be kufie because ye hwehwe se nipa na nye dodo na social dancing ye betumi dia ye adwuma ya close all training institutions and so binum wakolebu an ye train be for critical care adia no bae no sankra na about 80 of them ya freba frifie abegu kolebu ho sesei be classmates na baka no betifie ndi se ko ba se mampanyi adoya aso yeso no ma bonus kakra se ne besi ache nafa me ka se ye de panimfo hia ye nyan kan front line sem no nwie ye ba mampanyi no nje bia wo enso ye kue na se ono ya yaka yenka ho but be nyina ye kan front lekesa everybody is involved into be enya butare sort it out. Say be ya yenyina ebenya ho keka papa. Yetumi dia ye adwuma no ama yetumi apa miare no free ye manima. Kwadwo no. Madam Wasibebre.
Many thank you for the translation to Bono.
Bono.
Yes. He's MP for Doma.
Yes, Central.
Yes. His translation is in Bono. Let me speak about language. So here, predominantly, we are doing English and Chi, and for our protests, they would also try and translate into their local languages. But working with the Ghana Bureau of Languages, or the Bureau of Ghana Languages, what we are doing is that after the briefing, it will be translated into a number of languages and played back on networks across the country. So please forgive us if we don't speak more than 2 or 3 languages here. We're translating into about the 6 or so major languages, and then it will be played on platforms across the country. Minister also explained the numbers. Just to be clear, the case count is 287. Ahenu ene eduowotwe enso. Sampempenso ye hona ye wo. Na enema mienu edi akoti mo ne se. Wonoma ye ma omotena adem mfia bruchiri ba ye ma omotena adem no. Ye di kan test ye no. Edioson kono 29 ene tested positive. Ene ye ka se woman testing negative cry was say more mutena dem na esan sti won biom san se bia na wanya bi na nda ne ho adi ampani pa ye test yen emu aduonu nsia 26 subsequently tested positive e kan ho bi na ye numbers no akosoro ansana se se ya tumpanimfo agu abonte omo ye test bebrebe no ni abaye 19,000 na yetumi ehuom asat kwesi ada na jo mampani kasa impem dunkuno 15,000 na mama samples impem dunum sa impem dunum ye fi ase de fa imfidie nim anopei de enya ne se emu impem nso ahan ene aduasia baako 7,461 na omatumi attested out of 15,000 no no na 14 attested positive. That is about 0.18%. Or hanchichemu report back had tested positive. Sa niama mienu we ne ka homa ye numbers na kwa to 87 aye kan. Ye kan sa ye nka se sebi obi antenda se o bibia kora ni ho there be. Ye ka se do manika. We are not saying say just take everything for granted. But what we are saying say anase the aye kan say ye pesa wo te baby no efi no ase. Now, so please don't confuse our message of don't panic to mean just be reckless or be careless. We are only putting the numbers in context for you to have a full understanding. Honorable Minister for Sanitation and Water. So how about people who have arrears? Does it mean that they don't benefit, or does it mean you are going to reconnect their tap so that they can benefit? Then there was another question. Private tankers, how do they fit into this? Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Minister, for information. Arrears will be kept as arrears, but those who owe will enjoy water for April, May, and June. So there shouldn't be any alarm. The arrears are hold. Tanker drivers, I had a meeting with them yesterday. They are on board with us. Government will absorb all the expenses and make sure they work and supply the water. And landlords, it wasn't asked. I know there are landlords who also charge tenants for water. Please, with all due respect, the water should be given to all tenants free, because the landlords will not be paying water bills for April, May, and June. So please take note. Also, I want to appeal to all of us that this is not the time to wash our cars with hoses for 1 hour for each car, and also water our gardens. Very soon, by God's omnipotence, we will have the rainy season. So please abide by these simple rules and regulations. And nobody, please, should tamper with the infrastructure of Ghana Water and Community Water and Sanitation Agency. Also, for those of us in the peri-urban and rural areas using tokens and prepaid meters, your water supply will be uninterrupted. So please take note. And I repeat again, NGO supplying water, we have appealed to them, we are going to appeal to them in writing to make sure they also supply water for free. Niameka ye kakra no, de me ne say obi odeka no, saa ka no aban de nsa to. Enti no bosumi a yewo mu yi ene eba no, ene de ebeba no. April, May, June. Ube enjoy you and also benyan suanom ayo bibia eka no aban ede ne nsa to so se entwen eno de na emai nti no entwen nya no nti na wunya nsuo nom president so bia ne ba bia nya nsuo nom ena bosome miensan mu bills ba no eno so ye de nsa to so ye mfa ankora bia na create confusion say omunkotua water bill the mpese bibia betwintwan saa adefefa omampanya ya ma ye nyina no mu eti no men Ghana water for akasa say saa bosume me ensa bill no anka beba epu no mo memma abonten kora mmere ni twemu a na omo atumi aye ho adwuma na me san kan say yenya bia yesisi adan a ye de amem kwankwa titimu no mo bia nyi entonsuo ana onye nsuo sika fisa aban de nsa to nsuo nyina so ya aban dia aban hu kan wafa etu ye dan wura na do ya me ma han a en charge tenant na so bi oto dan mu nsuo sika na me san ka bi se yen a ya san ye mfuomfuo afumfuo ne mfrawa o efie no nya sa amre betwe nsuo no de agugu so enche nyamba wo mansuo beto nsuo no ta o garden no be kama ne yen a ye horo cars be enum wo efie a ye house mu a free no nsia dumienu ne enwie no eno so ehwie na yenye no kakra de bucket bu nsuo na de kama ena community and sanitation agency so omo wo systems ni be pre-meter ena bi so use tokens put us kind tokens as en kaprema bi no omo nyina nsuo no e wo stand pipes no omo be hwese omo benya nsuo omo be nya nsuo enso free intimidamase.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause here, and if there are questions on water and health, we'll take them now so that the minister's response can take leave of us and attend to other business. Water in particular, because the team from Ghana Health Services here, they can deal with the other health matters. So are there questions on water? Yes, sir. Please come. I'm taking only questions on water at this point in time. Questions on water only at this point in time. And then the Honorable Minister can leave us with TDB and then rest. Yes, sir.
My name is me pese me bisa asema ya mame Honorable Sanitation Minister. Honorable Wadaroma ye nkransi baby wonum ti se bia Jumapo e Eastern Regional. Baby an yesa nsuo no eye baby a na tia no a eno ana odifa sunya na ketua no nya ne dada aduane e wodi. Ene nyame ncha de aboni som etua nsuo kan nyina ekwan be na sankrofo no sefa so a omonsa be koma no medase.
Any other question on water? Yes, from the press pool platform, very quickly.
Yes, there's a question that says that, so does it mean that those who have been disconnected will be reconnected by the Ghana company?
Okay, so does it mean that those who have been disconnected, are they going to be reconnected so that they will benefit? Yes.
There's one more. As regards to the government's directive on water supply to citizenry, how much water can we obtain at a time and at what intervals, please?
Are there directives on how much water you can get?
Yes.
At what intervals?
Yes.
Please take that question again.
So as regards to the government's directive on water supply to the citizenry, how much water can we obtain at a time and at what intervals?
Okay. So there are 3 questions. That one, and then there's a question about those who've been disconnected. Will they be reconnected so that they benefit now? And then there's the first question about
those who have been disconnected, are they part?
those who make a living from taking some fees at the various points. Honorable Minister, if you can answer those 3 for us, then we'll wrap our time.
Thank you. Omo tete systems no a omo eton nsuo no ye behwe omo Ghana Water dey a omo commission no Ghana Water betwi community water and sanitation agency so a omo be ya ena anka nipa bia WHO standards na wo se nipa bia use 120 liters a day nipa ba ko bia nti se mo ye 10 multiplied by 10 but we no ye de nkotosre ne ahobrase na esre nyina sa fa o mampanyin ayi maye misuse nsuo no na me say nsuo no unnecessarily sebe ya ye ntwa latest bia for now nti na ye de bills no beba ne atwere ase say aban afa ho ka na emo obehu de use Ghana Water Force behu na use se me metiwe na me use water to the tune of 100 cities na me koye 500 aden na was at least to me check you na hu se de wo ye na em say mo Ghana nti we de be sra nkwankwa bia moma yenye ne yie mfa nhye mampanyin adwempa o ye hu animonyam the connection no enu ye issue a obu o ha wadi bone e na yakotwam bone ni bi ne san illa connection obi o ha ye wo ba bi a ensuo no ebi a efie be nsia na eduni wa ye illegal connection I enjoy ensuo no free o mampanyin ye o de abai yet na sene ahwe each case on its merit wo baby a disconnect wa tanka bebre usuo sa mmere mu yi but ye behwe each disconnect issue on its own merit but ya hyehyɛ sɛ ne ompanyin aka ne nti no bia wo sa atebe no mu no mayente na ye mmere usuo na afi sɛ ye disconnect ye connect a em sɛ eno ya ye ho meeting ye behwe ho adwuma nti se obia ye illegal connection na wonyae fi so mampanyin amaye nsuo free edamas.
Honorable Minister, we are grateful. Honorable Minister says that ideally you're supposed to be using about 120 liters per person, but we continue to appeal to people that under these circumstances it doesn't mean you should just be opening those or misusing water. For those who have already been disconnected, or it means are being made for you to get water through the tanker system, then they can examine your disconnection or the basis of the examination or the basis of your disconnection on a case-to-case basis and deal with it. And for those who make a living by managing water stations, the agency that is responsible for that particular water system will pay you your allowance. So you no longer need to be taking that money so that you get an allowance from it. Honorable Minister, we are very grateful, and you may take of us. ADB Bank is here. They have a quick donation to make. The Managing Director, Doc, please join me. Introduce yourself, please, and tell us how you intend to support us. And then when we are done, the Minister for Gender and Social Protection is here. She will explain to us how for the vulnerable and the homeless is being undertaken. Then we'll explain some financial matters, the various budgets that are made available and where we are in the utilization of those budgets, and take your questions. Social distancing.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Minister for Health, Honorable Minister for Information, and I've also seen Minister for Gender here. I'm here with one of my directors, Mr. Abankoyeboa, and my DMD is here with me. We are observing social distancing.
Just to remind the general public that ADB is part of the Ghana Bankers Association, and recently we together donated 10 million cedis towards this pandemic eradication. Aside that, ADB has decided, with the approval of the Board of Directors, to commit 1 million Ghana cedis towards the eradication and control of the pandemic. From the 1 million, we are allocating 200,000 Ghana cedis for the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm happy to have the Honorable Minister. We can just give it now to the Honorable Minister. Again, we are allocating the 800,000 Ghana cedis for purchase of PPE to be distributed to institutions, including Noguchi Medical Research, identified regional hospitals, the security agencies, farmer-based organizations in the peri-urban and rural areas. In addition, and jointly together with Ghana Bankers Association, interest rates have been reduced. It has, I think the details in the papers today, as heralded by the President of the Bankers Association. At ADB, all our branches are adhering to health protocols to ensure the full implementation of the social distancing policy. We first reduced our staff strength by 45%. As of today, based on the experience and research gathered around the decision, reduced our staff strength by 52%. This is based on level of activity that we have observed. Farmers and fishers are of great importance to us, and very soon, that is in a matter of about a week, we want to introduce a model financing program for the poultry value chain, and we will announce the details later. Thank you to you all, our customers, Ghanaians. Let us all support government in pursuing this agenda. And Honourable Minister for Information, we greatly appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc, for that contribution from the ADB Bank. Very quickly, CCT Ghana is here. You have a donation as well to make, please join us. And then the Honorable Minister for Gender and Social Protection would outline to us how we're going about this distribution of food, etc., for the vulnerable. Now, there are questions, for example, about how did we come by the figure of 400,000? Just pluck it from the air, or there's some science behind the 400,000 number. Honorable Minister, while you are speaking, we'd like you to speak to that. CCT, please join us.
Good morning to our honorable ministers, fellow donors, the press, ladies and gentlemen, CCT Group, the fisherman's friend. we are into importation and distribution of quality and affordable fishing gear. We are donating an amount of 50,000 Ghana cedis to the COVID-19 fund. And in addition, we are also donating 100 Veronica buckets and bowls to support our gallant fishermen. As mentioned, we deal with these fisher folks directly, and they are of great importance to us. So the total contribution becomes 60,000 Ghana cedis. This, we want to do this to support the fight against COVID-19. Thank you, and God bless us all.
City Ghana, we are very grateful for your contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, we have two final briefs and then wrap up. First is a finance-related brief. I just explained that, and then the Minister for Social Protection and Gender will join us. The Minister for Health is taking leave of us, but Dr. Abuajo of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Bedusa Ako of the Ghana Health Service, and their team members are here, and they would respond to the health questions, the residual health questions directly. Now, the government of Ghana has three different finance packages in responding to this COVID-19 pandemic. First is the COVID-19 preparedness program, which the president instructing the minister responsible for finance to make $100 million cedi equivalent available to prepare in terms of logistics, facilities, health infrastructure, public education, etc., to the tune of about $100 million cedi equivalent. 35 million of that is a credit facility which has just been approved by Parliament. It is our understanding, hopefully today, the World Bank board itself should approve it so that disbursement can take place. 65 million of it is a requirement of an already existent GARID facility, which has already happened, and that 65 million cedi equivalent now available to the Republic of Ghana. So just to inform the general public that the 100 million USD, 65 it is a requirement of an already existent GARID facility. Environment has now taken place and the funds are now available to the government of Ghana. The 35 million is to be approved by the World Bank board, hopefully today, so that disbursement can be done as well for the preparedness program. The second part is the coronavirus alleviation package or program, which is budgeted about $219 million cedi equivalent. That is taken from oil funds. You would recall that quite recently, Parliament approved a transfer of that amount of money into the contingency fund. The Constitution says that the committee responsible for financial measures implement is a committee that is seized with the power to decide how that money, once it's in the contingency, should be used. So the minister responsible for finance is to make an application, and the committee will consider it and represent to the whole or to Parliament to allow for that fund to be made available for the coronavirus alleviation program, and we expect that to be a smooth process. That is what is being used for the social interventions also and related matters that have been outlined. The president spoke to it on Sunday night during his address. And then finally there will be the need to reignite the entire Ghanaian economy when this battle is over. So a broad stimulus package is being put together for that purpose. Cabinet met yesterday in an emergency cabinet meeting. The president directed that a broader stimulus package be put together to reignite the Ghanaian economy by the time this battle is over. So you'll find that in the coronavirus alleviation program, there's some 600 million cedis that is supposed to be used as soft loans. Yes, that is there, but there need to be to do a broader and more elaborate stimulus program, which is being worked upon and will be announced subsequently. That's a quick finance-related brief. Sikasema yede santo kwa yechemu mienu, yedi kan akadia yehia $100 million. Eno no mampenima finance minister ikan eye hon hyehyeye. Sa $100 million no $65 million de yensa kan because na esika wo hodeda na enkedi ye bi before. But potoka sem yesi avai ayede ye we say 35 now the Bosia World Bank Board be approve na yensa kan de aye adwuma. Ansa na de tosu mienu coronavirus alleviation package $219. And also no Parliament a yi sika fi ye fan wo sika mu e de ato contingency fund mu. The Finance Minister ebeko Parliament anim say afi ye man nsanka sika no constitution committee a ehwe sikasem so Parliament NSS can so sabre. The Finance Minister be apply to sa committee through Parliament na ninsaka says cannot dia enema hold so and say we are the beyama Ghana sikasem page mu biom no the friend stimulus package na nkasa and no cabinet issue e mama mpaniama instructions say mpanifo ntena say no mu instant kucheni na ngun krata so na mrepam no ye de atudwa. Now final brief, care for the vulnerable and the homeless. Minister for Gender and Social Protection after the podium is sanitized.
Good morning. First, let me answer how we got the 400 figure. NAMO, that is a disaster management, gave us a figure of 8 million affected areas. Out of the 8 million, we divided and chose 5%, giving us the 400,000. How are we doing the distribution of food? In Greater Accra, we are doing 250,000. We settled the areas, electoral area by electoral area, and then it comes to the district or constituency. The MMDCs know where the vulnerable are in every area. And so out of that, we have a list of ghettos. We are looking at the young men. We are not only looking at the Kayi. The debate is like Kayi. It is not about Kayi, it's about the vulnerable in society, the physical challenged, the shoeshine boy who has come all the way from every part of the country to come and look for greener pasture, the Makola woman who sells cassava in the market to make or sells shoes or belts or cutlery, and out of what she makes a day, she cooks for the family. Now she's not going to work, she's locked out. Who cooks for her? Who gives her the money? And so we are doing raw food. And government is dealing not only with the Ministry of Social Protection, but we are dealing with the faith-based churches. We've given rice, yam, rice, maize, tin tomato, oil, eggs to the faith-based churches. Why the churches? This money is government's initiative, government's budget, not a political budget. So the sharing of does not have any political color. Any vulnerable person qualifies. And so we have caterers who are cooking every corner of this country where we have selected. The caterer cooks minimum 500. And then we have coordinators who go around to check and make sure that the food they have cooked is 500. Then NADMO monitors the sharing of the food. Because of social distancing, we don't want a large number. So even when we 500, it is not one person who goes out to distribute. It's splitted so that a lot of people not cluster around where the food is. We are doing the hospitals. We are doing the polyclinics. We are doing the mental home. We are doing for those on the street. Apart from those who are allotted where to send the food, we have people who take the food in a van round town so that when we see any mentally derailed person, we give that person food. What we are going to do from today is also that the kenke seller at Choco or Bukom will be asked to cook 500 bowls of kenke in her area. We give her 500 tins of sardine or mackerel. so that she can feed those around the vicinity because they know the best. But we have somebody in Nadumo would monitor, make sure that 500 is shared and that nobody comes for double or she does not serve 300 and tell us that she's serving 500. We want to do such that everybody will have something to eat. Now the ministry has been turned into a kitchen, which I'm also very appreciative because they realize that their mother is there. So as I speak to you, come there are a lot of people. We give them food to eat. We go around and make sure that everybody has something to eat. This morning I had a call that government is doing nothing, that the churches are sending food. It is government that has been the church's food to send around. That money is not for president, it is for government. That is how he's serving it this way. We don't want it to have any political color. It is a national issue. Where you think food is coming to, as a media, we are putting a hotline number, 0800 800 800. 0800 800 800. When you call that number, you let us know where people have clustered that there's no food or area where food had not got into. I believe that the first 2 days will not have 100%, but at least we want everybody to get food. Yesterday, there was excess food. They brought it back to the ministry. But I believe the other people who did not have anything to eat because maybe we did not capture them. So by this medium, we are saying that if you know anywhere that food did not get to, let us know. Apart from that, we are trying to see our budget. If the food is enough, because corporate bodies are cooking for us, individual cooking, which we appreciate. If we have an excess, we are doing breakfast. Like the cocoa seller at point A can sell cocoa, point B can serve cocoa, point C, so that they can also get money into their pockets. So that is how the distribution is going. Our concentration, I'm talking about the Kaye because that has become the topic of the day. Yesterday, Sunday, we started talking to the Kaye sleeping on the streets that we are getting a place for them to stay because we don't want them to be on the street, for them to go out hawking. We got a place at Medina. It is a home, somebody gave it to us, a private person. But because we were not using the place for some time, they had a few challenges. We were working on it. Because I believe that growing up, my mother moved to North Kaneshie. We lived in a house, Dansoman building, with no wall. Whilst we were there doing the plastering, when circumstances happen like that, we look for a place, a comfortable place. That house that they took them to was a walled place. Only that they had not finished, they were doing certain fixtures. Yesterday evening, I had a call that the Kaye said they want to be out because on the streets, they can move around and have their own private life. And so in the evening, Ayalolo, 5 military buses took them to the shelter. There were 381. It's a 400-seater. So we knew that we could accommodate them and bring more. Yesterday evening, they moved out and they said they were going to stay there because they thought we were going to give them money. That is why they sat the bus and came there. We are not giving anybody money. We cannot share money. We can share food. Kayes are no exception. The shoe shine boy who came from Techiman, the woman who came from Dunkwa to come and look for greener pasture here who is locked out is also very important like the Kayo. So we are giving the vulnerable people. The concentration is not only on the Kaye. And so no money is going anywhere. I want that to be clear. Because the media is saying the government promised to give them money. When I did my first bill, I said we're considering certain things. So I didn't mention any amount of money. No money is going out. We are giving food. We are also giving yam and foodstuff to home. Mothers with children who would love to cook their own meal than to get the cooked meal. We are also giving them yam, rice, beans, gari, oil, potato, eggs and all that so that they can cook at home. So this is where we have got into, and I believe that by the close of today and tomorrow, we'll get exactly what we wanted to do. Thank you so much.
Honorable Minister, thank you. So we'll take your questions at this point in time. If there are questions, please come to the podium so that we can take them and wrap up. We'll take 2 at a time. so that we can have the social distancing. Yes, sir. Yes, you can ask a health-related question as well.
But from Kwame, me adwuma wo TV Africa. Na minister Nekasa, health minister Nekasa no. Na okay bibi fa sene nyina obi abeboa fa yare ye betumi aboa na isa no. Aban hyehyɛ a wɔde ato akwanfa health sector no. Nurses ne doctors sene wɔn so betumi ayɛ adwuma. I think in central for so adwuma ya bon ye boy homode pa. Na mibisa sɛ sene media for take risks no one am ha no report no okɔ ha no oban my hye bi su kakra package bi du a mutimi so de ama ntrofo ana na eduru ha hu sɛ bibi sɛ si na ye kɔ a yenka sɛ oh mi nua yi koyi akire no bibi timi si a on so wo bibi sa na afei minister gender minister no ɔka ka ye issue anu ame kɔ circle ko hu boys ni bia na che omo complaining for aduane omo bedi ni we no omo say ma anopai me fa traffic road because who say kaya is no still omo wo krom mo ye adwuma ti me bisa say kaya for no ye adwuma no still na so kaya show because omo me ko hu no omo doso nti ye bi omo gu a omo nya adwuma na ana say osoro no okodumam ade oba so ana aban no so sabon.
Thank you. Yes, sir. There were some other questions. Please step forward if you have a question. Come this way. Yes, sir. So, yeah, so the other two come. Yes,
all
sir.
right. Benjamin Akako is my name. I work with Class 91.3 FM. I have 4 very quick questions. The first one has to do with the number of cases we're seeing. They keep increasing. What are the projections when you speak to the researchers, the scientists? What exactly are they telling us? When are we looking forward to some sort of plateau so that the numbers can decline? At least in other jurisdictions, we see that there are some projections. Are there any projections for Ghana? That's question number 1. Number 2 has to do with those $12 million odd that have been, set aside for rent for these isolation centers. How exactly did we arrive at this amount? Is that amount going to increase at any point? That's my second question. Today happens to be World Health Day.
$12 million for what?
So the isolation, for isolation basically.
Yes.
So rent. But what we've been told, we are...
Isolation centers is not rent.
Okay, so basically whatever the quarantine process, all the quarantining and the isolation, the figure that I have got is that we're spending some $12 million. How did we come...
Where is this figure from?
Okay, so I got it from a source. I'm not mentioning.
I can't interrogate. Okay, so you go ahead.
You might as well then maybe let us know how much exactly we're spending.
That's a different question.
Fine.
That's a different
how much
question.
Exactly are we spending? How did we come by?
The question is how much are we spending on what?
On those who are being quarantined, for example.
On quarantine facilities.
Exactly.
Okay.
Isolation. How are we catering for that? How much is involved? Today happens to be World Health Day. As we celebrate our nurses, midwives, doctors, other healthcare professionals, we also know that I heard the Honorable Health Minister speaking earlier about how some of them are cramped, even attempting to get to work in buses and all of that. How are we protecting them? In recent times, we heard the doctors, the healthcare professionals at Kolebu complain, threatening that they would even not work. So how much more can we do, to cater for them? In terms of the PPEs, that's what I'm referring to.
Okay, so your question is, what more we do to ensure that everybody gets a PPE?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
And finally, to the Honorable Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. Yesterday, my team went around Circle, the VIP area, and you were just talking of an overflow of food, that there was excess food. Those, from what we noticed, some of them did not get food. Over the weekend, I went around the Osu area, Dankwa, moving to other places. There were people there, some of them mentally ill, others without food. So I think you should take stock of these and maybe make provisions for areas. Thank you.
Okay, so this one is a suggestion that the food distribution should be equitable.
It should be equitable.
So that it's not excess.
That some
if I may, your point is that it should be equitable, so that there's not excess when people don't have some. Minister, I think that's a suggestion. So we can take. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For that one. And then the health team, please take note of that question. What more can be done to ensure that everybody gets a PPE? There's a question that I would take. How much are we spending on the quarantine? and then you ask about isolation. I'll explain the difference between the two. Yes, sir.
My name is Mark Byron. I work with UTV. For me, I want to find out, in all this vulnerable...
UTV?
Yes, helping. All right, let me speak to you. And specifically, yes, Ebano say bois or more munibia. Ebano say persons will living with disability. Saying a yesha monso marker was a bit more furniture. Say it's almost a damn more than summa. So how are we liaising with the disassemblies to ensure that say Saf is summa bit me up warm? My second question is Ebano sooner say free now. Institutions are commercial institutions. Also, can one now.
Yes, sir. Is the final question? Okay, I have three more finals. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and then we'll wrap up. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. My friend Mekweku Stephen, me age more man FM. My name is Koma Ghana Health Service. And person who did it few days ago, in say, unless a phobia or kolebo almost a strike. I know how far Kusi you told me you know
still more strike. Omoka says so on some PP sir. And then you put it in context. Not
NTPC who I don't know Kusi saying. And I feel Kolebu Honoma so Andra a report by Joy News say Oko a year breast cancer unit onomwa omo jejuma because of coronavirus, a person who's in 24 months now, somewhat is what then I'm going for. That's it.
There's a report Kolebu breast cancer unit is not working because of fear. Is that true? And what has been done about that? Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Godfrey Tanam with Media General. The Ghana Health Service website has introduced further description of the country's case, and then using the bar position as indicator.
Using the what position?
The bar positions as indicator.
I can't seem to hear you.
Yes, exactly.
The bar graph?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
So I want to find out how is government appreciating the fact that more young people than very elderly in their 60s are affected, and then what are the true numbers according to the age of people who have been tested positive.
Okay.
And then there's some video of some 9 Ghanaians saying that they are still workers and stranded in Niger. They are having difficulty timing to and then they are ready to pay for whatever transport they're supposed to do in Ghana, and then they are ready to be self-quarantined or mandatory quarantine anytime. And I want to find out if you have any plans of...
I'll respond to that one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll respond to that.
And Dr. Letitia, PIG of the Population Council, has proposed the use of schools, boarding facilities to house the homeless and the interim while schools are on break. And, this, she says that will help will help the government or maybe the country properly feed them, have them bath and protect them properly. And I want to find out if you have that one too in your...
so the Population Council head is making a proposal to government?
Exactly.
Okay, right. I'll respond to that one as well. Yes, let's take this final too.
Thank you. My name is Fred Smith from Joy News. I'd like to find out what the plan is to prevent the spread of the virus from the areas where we've already recorded into those areas where we don't have cases yet. Thank you.
So plan to prevent spread in hotspot areas. Dr. Abadi, if you please pay attention to this. Is there a plan to prevent spread to hotspot areas? Then I'll take the last two.
All right, so my name is Della Michelle. We know the government has about 300 ventilators. So I want to find out from the Ghana Health Service how many cases are on the ventilator. And then with your response, my follow-up question will be that whether we have more or less, is it because we have fewer number of the people being young, or there's a good drug working, or we have a deterioration of patient that is absent?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Kojo Ajman from CDTV. Honorable Information Minister, have you gotten any letter from DWTV regarding military brutality of one of your journalists with Zuria FM in Kumasi?
No, I have not received.
It hasn't gotten to your attention.
I have not received any such letter.
Okay. All right. I also want to find out that I was happy when the health minister mentioned that some indigenous companies have been contracted to produce PPEs? Who are these companies, and at what capacity are they going to produce in terms of the number of PPEs that are going to give us on a weekly or daily basis? Thank you.
Okay, so let me deal with that one. We can get you a list of the companies and then the orders that we have given to them so that they can follow up. Let me take the final question, the platform, and then we'll move to answer.
Mr. Minister, there's a question asking the role of the Vice President in all this. The role of the Vice President in all this.
Okay. Is that the only question? Okay. All right. So let me quickly take some of the questions, and then I'll invite our colleagues from Health to help us. Let me go over the questions. Do we have a projection of what our case count should be? And if we do, we want to be putting it out by now? That's my sense of the first question, because in other jurisdictions, people are reading that they have projections that they expect to hit this number by that time. So in Ghana, do we have projections? And if we do, have we decided that we want to be putting out those projections as at now? That's one question. The question about how much are we spending on quarantine facilities, and it's mixed with isolation. So let me just explain. Quarantine is not the same as isolation. The quarantine that we spoke about, or the mandate quarantine we spoke about, was when the state decided that some persons should not be allowed into the general population and should be kept and tested. Isolation is when we either ask you to self-isolate. That means you are in a home, but you, for a period, stay in one room and don't mingle with the other people there. Or when you are being treated, or you visited a health facility and they've created an isolation unit so that you don't mix with the general cases in the ward. Isolation, properly so-called, does not come at a cost to the state per se. If you are maybe self-isolating at home, or you are self-isolating, or you are isolating in a hospital, or in one of the treatment facilities, it doesn't come at any extra cost to us. It will come as part of the treatment cost. But your question really will be, how much have we spent on the quarantine facilities? All the expenses that are going on will be published in the end when we are done. I don't have the data on how much spent on quarantine currently, but all of those expenditure will be put out like how we put out our national accounting data, and we can interrogate it and even have it audited by the Auditor General eventually. So Ghana Health Service, what more are you doing to ensure that health persons get PPEs? UTV is asking the Gender Minister whether persons with disability are included in your interventions. Oman wants to know whether the threats were issued at Korle Bu have been resolved in any way, and whether or not it's true that the breast cancer unit at Korle Bu is not working because of fears of COVID-19. They also, or one media person wants to find out, what is your analysis of age distribution as you have provided currently? What does it tell us about Ghana's case? There's a question about 9 Ghanaians outside the jurisdiction who say they want to come. The standard answer is that our borders are closed at this point in time. Our borders are closed at this point in time. Then there's a suggestion that the head of the Population Council, which is a government agency, is making a suggestion, but it appears this suggestion is being made to the general public. If indeed this is the case, we haven't, or I haven't seen any such suggestion that she has ferried to us. We'll be happy to receive that suggestion and its details and analysis and consider it. All persons are doing with the response team that are sitting around the table. So there's a suggestion, we'll be happy to receive it through the proper channels and examine it accordingly. There's a question about whether plans prevent spread in hotspot areas. And then there's a very important question of ventilators. Do you have any patients currently on ventilators? Why don't you? It's got to do with the age distribution that you have given to us earlier. I think it's a very important question that we should deal with. And then later I'll come and deal with the role of the Vice President in all of this. So Dr. Aboagye and Dr. Bediako, you may want to rise up and respond to the issues.
Thanks again, Honorable Minister. I will start with the question on age distribution. You shared this and posted it to the website last night, and the most people are within the age of 25 to 59. The age group with the greatest number of cases are 25 to 34. Those with the least number 15 to 24. 25 to 34 be those with the highest number of cases, and then 15 to 24 those with the least of cases. We have a few with above 60 that are also having cases. When into sex distribution, we have more males in most of the age groups having cases than the females. With regards to projections and plateauing, we are still building a model. We are now doing intensive contact tracing and testing. We still have quite a number of tests that we have taken, samples taken that we are testing, and we need to conclude this to enable us get the various tests that will be inputted into the model. So it's a bit too early to predict and come up with how many cases that you have in future, and that will be the worst case scenario, and as much as possible we have to get the figures right. So we are still building the model. I think by the close of this, when we conclude the testing and have contact tracing and testing, you will be in position to get the figures and then the various goals right. The use of bar charts, I think these are very appropriate, and to make things very easy, we have started trying to make our presentations as pictorial as possible to let people not read too much to have the information that we have. So if you realize, since the early this week, we started sharing whatever data that you have in pictorial form, which we believe that it will be very appropriate for people within our time to get the various information that they have from our website. The health workers stranded in Niger, indeed, these are Ghanaians, and if they are Ghanaians and they have to come back, there are mechanisms, as it happened for those that were flown in a few days ago who have finished the 14-day quarantine and have been decided yesterday. If they need to come, modalities are in place to support them to come back home, keep them for that incubation period of time, and then also they will also be subjected to the testing. I think these are the questions that we have. I don't know, DG, do you want to take the view on the Korle Bu for now? Right. I think whether there are plans to prevent spread in hotspot areas. Indeed, these are mechanisms that we have put in place at the moment. The hotspots that we have here in the country are Kumasi and Accra. And the lockdown in these areas are the media activities and strategies to prevent spread in these areas. There are intensive activities beyond lockdown. We are doing enhanced contact tracing, and all those that have been in contact with confirmed cases, we've established mechanisms to test all of them. When any of these contacts test positive, they also have contacts. You will also text secondary contacts, and as we mop them up, these are the modalities and mechanisms to prevent further spread and arrest potential community spread. And all the things, intensive public education, enhanced contact tracing testing, and then the lockdown mechanisms that have been established, which we encourage every person within those areas to adhere to. And then the social distancing that has been prescribed. These are the modalities and mechanisms to prevent and protect against intensive spread, particularly community spread in affected areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Just to add, Kolebu, I don't speak for Kolebu, but what I can say is that they are working. Whatever issue is there must have been resolved. But we get a message back to them and we'll get their response and then we'll respond appropriately. We also check whether the breast cancer center is closed or not. There may be other reasons why it is closed, but we should check and see under the current lockdown if the services are not urgent, they may decide to break for a time, but we'll make sure we check and get back to you. Ventilators. I don't know whether Dr. Asako mentioned ventilators. We get, currently we have our 3 on ventilators, and we have more ventilators in the center than we are, because those who need ventilators are, sometimes they go on ventilators when they are better, they are taken off. Currently, my information, I don't know 3 of them are on ventilators. Yesterday they were 4, today they are 3. So that's why we can speak to that. The issue of, on the World Health Day, what are we doing for the health worker? Yes, I think the minister outlined the many steps that are being used to pump up more PPEs into the system, including the local manufacturing, and that's exactly what is being done. And apart from all the many interventions that the President announced in support of health workers. Thank you very much.
Colleagues, so this will be it for today's briefing. Let me just comment on a few things as we wrap up. So to the question about 9 persons who are outside Ghanaian jurisdiction who say they are willing to pay and come in and hopefully be quarantined, etc. As I mentioned earlier, the policy decision the President has announced is that our borders are closed. Borders are closed. If anybody has any exceptional circumstance, you have to engage their mother organization or whatever for them to try and make a representation to see if an exception can be granted. But the policy decision, and we shouldn't give people any kind of hope that we haven't leveled. The policy decision is that our borders are closed. There's a question about what the Vice President has been doing to support this program. I know he's been doing about 4 or 5 different things at this point in time. If my memory serves me right, he chairs daily monitoring meetings that bring in all data. He chairs those daily monitoring meetings that bring in all the data. He's also been leading the effort to put in place a digital platform that allows those who are doing the contact tracing to share with us the data of what is happening real time on the ground and connect it to those who are also running samples in the labs so that we can know that out of 50,000, 7,461 have been tested and 15 have tested positive so far. All of that data set is coming in from the coordination that the Vice President is putting together. The exercise at food distribution that is going on at Gender, being supported by National Security, etc. Coordination is also being provided from the Office of the Vice President. And then most importantly, the use of PPEs. There needs to be a tracking mechanism for the use of PPEs because many of those PPEs are disposable. So how many have gone out here? How many have been used here? How are we feeding back into the system so that we're able to improve that all of those ones are being done by the Office of the Vice President. And the Office of the President has also been very instrumental in getting the Bank of Ghana to provide about 2.5 million cedis to support the exercise to provide food for the vulnerable and the homeless at this point in time. The final thing is a suggestion from one of our colleagues that journalists should also be considered as frontline workers, and perhaps consideration should be given to what journalists are doing. We'll take that under advisement. Colleagues, we'll have to leave it here, and if we have an opportunity during the week, we'll come back to respond to more of your issues. So I'll give the final word to the Minister for Gender to wrap up on one of the matters. Minister, please join us.
Said you saw Kanye working and yet you are providing for them. You are providing for everybody. There are people who are also doing menial job you are still providing for. But the exception is not Kanye, it's for everybody. And another person said he wants to circle and on Osu and there was no food. Father Campbell is doing food at Osu and Circle. And that I can assure you, it is done every day. The people who would get food and then go back and tell you they haven't gotten. When I was going to work, there were people right in front of the National Theatre, they were eating. Whilst I was coming here, they were all moving to the Ministry of Gender. because we gave them food yesterday. They finished yesterday even at the Ministry of Gender. Some came to take food. He went away. He was wearing he put the cabinet and wore a scarf and then came for the food. It's natural. And so, but for places where there's no food, we'll make sure that we send food to. So don't worry. With disability, we are with them. We have their quota. You go there now. We've packed them. Their data, Auntie Akuya is right there in the ministry to their food. For they have. They can't move out now. So the distribution is not like bringing them all together and do the distribution. They are going to get their food. Some have already gotten and others are going to get. We have a group of people at Stadium, Olympic people who are going to play games and they couldn't. We've sent their quota. I think that's about all. Thank you very much.
Minister, we are very grateful. Colleagues, we thank you for your coverage. We continue to encourage the general public that if you have any feedback for us on any of these matters, please call 311 and give us that feedback and we'll ferry it to the appropriate agency to respond to it. Thank you very much for your time. For the companies that brought us items, we will go out to receive them. So colleagues in the media, you can also please do us the honor capturing those as well. Thank you.